Everyone, my name is Sara Smith. Uh, uh, I think last week, the school sent me and Patricia Moss and a few other people from the elementary building to IDEAcon 2020. It was a conference all about technology and how to use technology to build relationships. It was in Schaumburg, Illinois. I made this presentation in hopes that I can share something that I learned with you guys. Let's dig into it. You like that YouTube intro? That's pretty good. Okay, hold on. Let's go like that. So these are some links to a few of the presentations. I'm sorry that I could not get all of them. This book I bought at the conference. It's really cool. Ideas to Connect Your Classroom. I actually met the author of chapter 14. Her name was Jess. She was a technology instructional coach at a school up in Chicago. And she talked about how her school did one-to-one technology, but they used a one-year transitional period where the teachers got their Chromebooks and everything first, and then they problem solved and asked questions and collaborated with each other. So then when the students came that following year, then they could use them and know kind of what to do if a situation broke out. Getting steamy with STEAM design. This was all about how a school created their STEAM, makerspace area. They were a school from St. Louis. They were on the richer side. They had the funds to do this. Our school probably would not. They spent a lot of money. So basically, they looked at their needs of their students, of their curricula, and then they went to vendors, businesses, to purchase items, machines, furniture, etc. When they were looking at their needs, they actually visited other STEAM makerspace areas from different schools, libraries, large businesses like Caterpillar or college campuses to figure out what worked for them and what they would have changed in the long run. And they compiled that information. And then they also relied heavily on educator and student opinions. So, for example, what kind of furniture, what kind of machines, what kind of tools would they want in their makerspace area? They used foundational courses such as woodshop and put it into the STEM makerspace area for their kiddos to have more integrated projects. So, for example, in their space, they had wood tools and also 3D printers. So then their kiddos could use both types of tools to create a solution to something. Which was really neat and something that you don't really hear about. You just hear a lot of 3D printers or special computers and coding information, but not a lot of tools that they may use in trades. So that was really cool to see. They talked about how partnerships with businesses and with whoever brings stuff over. Oh, Sarah, is extremely important. Just as I'm thinking and making the physical space as educational and comfortable as possible, as well as creating a STEAM curriculum that will fit the needs of the students and have a meaning behind it, not just activities or random projects, which you see a lot with these thrown together maker spaces that are just thrown together with random things. One-to-one, now what? A conversation. This guy was from Farmington. He was the technology manager. It was actually a really good session, but then a really bossy lady spoke up and she kind of ruined it for everyone, but it was very good before that. So basically, he talked about how experimenting with flexible workstations worked really well with the students. A couple of the teachers were not as comfortable with it as others. So, for example, he talked about a literacy room versus a technology room. Technology room, you can have kiddos sitting on the floors, beanbag chairs with laptops and whatnot, while a literacy room was more set up for the traditional or even the more progressive, but still with the front of the room learning situation. Talked about not being afraid to fail. As 21st century educators, we can problem solve, we can collaborate, we can figure out how to help us and those around us. Problems that he saw within his district, how to keep devices safe and provide clear expectations for the students and parents just in case of any problems that arose with technology. So, for example, if students are looking at inappropriate things, should that student get their Chromebook taken away? Or what if the student drops the Chromebook and then it breaks? Do the parents have to pay for that, or is that on the school responsibility? Charging printer issues, what happens when the power goes down and you don't have a printer, or if the Chromebooks won't charge anymore. The bossy lady talked about just how her school had the best flow chart, which was annoying, but it made sense that if a student had a problem, they would go to the teacher, and the teacher, instead of going to another teacher or the principal, they would go straight to the technology director to get that answer solved, to get that problem solved right away, rather than going through and causing chaos. And then students with IEPs, 504 plans, just use adaptive technology. They have it out there, get it, use it. Spice up your Google site with this embed tool. If you know how to code, use this. There is a bit.ly at the beginning of the presentation where you can use. This was me through it all because I had no idea. I don't know how to code. I don't want to know how to code, so who knows? Exploring mindfulness. This lady had a very peaceful, quiet voice. We spent like 15 minutes meditating, and I'm not one to meditate, so it was really weird, but it happened. She talked about how do students actually receive the help they need, let alone address their feelings and thoughts. It wasn't so much geared as what we can do for our students, more so as it was geared for, look at this cool scientific thing that I did, and this is what I got, blah, blah, blah. So what I took away from it was 50% of students suffer from mental illness and anxiety, got mood disorders, suicide-related outcomes increased. We have noticed that within the trends with the last 20 years. Lots of suicides, mood disorders with students. And then that generational shift, 26 years and younger, they got some problems. And then this is a link to a book or an article. I don't know. It was a lot. So basically, the overall theme of this conference was use technology to build relationships between students and students in their grade level, or with students in different grade levels, build relationships with other teachers, staff members, and administrators, build relationships with parents and the community members, and build relationships with businesses, outreach, and international programs. This is something that I want to work on a lot more. I lack big time just communicating in general to parents and community members. So that's one of my 50,000 goals for next year. Remind me of that, okay? So now we have modern collaborative spaces. There's a lot on here, and I'm not going to go through it all, but basically right now we are in the fourth industrial revolution, and that means that there's a lot of things happening with technology, but human skills, problem solving, emotional intelligence, communication, and interaction will never change. Those will not be taken over by robots because robots do not have those skills. It just talks about how if we're doing flexible seating, we have to think about these things. How do we promote human skills? How do we use integrate digital tools learning, and also traditional versus progressive, which I kind of touched on earlier. She also, which was a really cool thing to learn about, was flexible seating. She used the term one for all for one. So basically, every student should have a choice, even if that student doesn't want to learn it, or every student should have an option for them, even if they don't want to use it. And how student voice and choice extremely matter. How to reduce teacher footprint. This is me right here. This is me. Declutter. Marie Kondo your life. Remove that front of the classroom. Me. Doing it. Getting it done. Slowly but surely. Lessons of a first-year instructional coach. This lady was from Elmwood. She was awesome. She talked about how she wanted herself to be viewed as a learning partner rather than a coach. A coach was someone who kind of watched over other people, judged, and then took action, rather than a partner who worked with someone through the process. There was a lot of plant knowledge, which was really awesome. So choose what you water, such as if you put more energy into negative things, it'll be more negative. But if you leave that energy out of negative things, you don't really notice because you're not putting your energy in there. And if you want good things to happen, put your energy into those good things so they can grow. What do you do when you walk into a party? Let's see. Start small. Make sure everything is quality and fits the wants and needs of teachers. Don't force your way into a room. Get an invitation. Advocate for their time. She actually talked about, and I think this would work so well for our district, where instead of having back-to-back PD sessions, she always tried to plan time for the teachers to have time within their own classrooms to work. And if they just had back-to-back PD sessions, she would actually take her time and tell everyone to go work in their classrooms. So she wouldn't have that time to speak to teachers. She would find a different time so they would have time to work, and that was really awesome. Work for meaningful change. Long term is always better than short term, even though it's slower. It'll take more hold. And there are no bad days to be an instructional partner. Even though it may seem like a bad day, or maybe it seems like something bad happened, it's just another step. Just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So, Gary Patricia, you'll like that. We talked to we didn't really talk. Well, we got a picture, obviously. We did some stuff with Gary Brooks, which was really awesome. Basically, he talked about being liked versus being respected. Everyone ain't gonna like you, and you won't make everyone happy. Make them respect you instead. Make every decision for the students and not for yourself. You really stress that. And that's one way to be respected. Remind yourself of two things when being criticized. Develop the BF system by Felicia, and also take a look into where they're coming from. Does their opinion matter? Is there any truth to their claim? Be careful when it comes to sensitive issues, and also take a note of the climate and culture of your building. Parents and educators will never change. This is something that I've repeated again and again, even to my boyfriend. Choose relationships over being right. There is one word that can ruin anything. And it's just probably comes out when you're talking and you're trying to make yourself seem right, but choose the relationship over being right. And age-appropriate behavior never changes. Plan fun activities for every age range that you meet. Meet each other's needs. and you really only have one job, and that is to get to know your kiddos. Yeah, that's all I have. I'm going to let Patricia do the K2 Can Be Creative 2.